Okay, welcome. This is VCS, the 5:30 session. We are currently in the RGB sequences room. At least I think that's where we are. We'd like to thank our sponsors, of course, Buscoyo Studios, for sponsoring this event. We'd also like to thank all the other vendors who have sponsored and participated this year to help us make this a success. And of course, all the presenters, all the hosts, the co-hosts. I'd say we probably have close to 50 to 75 people who have really gotten engaged in this year. So without further ado, I'm going to present Mr. Dom Hodgson, who's going to do his session on promoting and marketing your display. Dom?
Hello, everybody. How are you all doing? It's boring. My night job is I do stand-up, improv, and emceeing. I spend a lot of time on stage, or rather I did before COVID made sure that there was no stage time. So instead I've got a lot more time for my hobbies, which is lights. And there's also this, which is as a family, we raise money for a local hospice. Normally that involves running around Disney parks in stupid costumes. And we've raised over £45,000, which with the exchange rate is probably like $9 million. And it also leads to this, which was my show last year. Really, really proud of that. Really, really pleased. But enough about me. Let's not talk about me. Let's talk about you, because that's what we're here for. We're here to help you, and we're here to help your display. So we talk about promotion and marketing. And now, I don't know about you, but I've spent a lot of time and a lot of money soldering, sequencing, pixel pushing, realizing you've messed up and pixel pushing and unpushing. To not just have me enjoy my show, I want other people to do it. So here's what we're doing. We're going to look at some avenues to explore, and we're going to break them down. So we're going to talk about the local community. We're going to talk about your charity, social media, local media, and national media. So, and we're going to break each one down. So local community, let's start with your neighbors, local organizations, and some passionate fan bases. Neighbors, love neighbors. Your neighbors will make or break your display. There's no getting around it. If they love it, they are going to tell everybody they know, all their friends, all their family, hey, come over to our street. Look at the lights on our street. They will take credit for all of your work, right? But if they hate it, they're going to do everything they can to shut it down. They can complain to the council. They can complain to the police about noise, about lights, about FM transmitters, about traffic. They can complain to everybody. So just make sure you have them on side. Keep them informed and get them involved. We did this by me and my daughter. We printed off 50 letters and we hand delivered them to every neighbor within this vicinity that would either see the lights, be inconvenienced by any traffic, or would want to know what was going on. And in there we said, look, it's COVID. This is what's happening right now. This is what we want to do. If you've got any problems whatsoever, here's my mobile number. Give me a call day or night. And we also said, look, if you don't feel comfortable coming to see our lights with other people there, give me a call and I will put on a special show just for you and your family. And that went down really, really well. We got a lot of positive response. Throughout the whole season, we didn't get a single complaint through that. It was absolutely lovely. The whole neighborhood came. We had kids from the local all around coming every few days just to say hi and just to see what we've got new. It was lovely. I'm not going to go on about neighbors anymore because John Storms has literally just done a talk on it, and I had a sneaky look at his slides, which meant I could take out about 20 slides of mine. So if you want to know about neighbors, go back on YouTube when it comes up and look for the John Storms. It was brilliant. So once again, keep them informed and get them involved, because remember, that's when good neighbors become good friends. That's my quote, by the way. So now we're going to talk about your local community. Check in with your local fire and police department. Okay, all your emergency services all have a community outreach person, or they should do. They all monitor local events. They all want to see, and they want to see what's going on locally. So just send them an email, do them just leave them a message and say, look, this is what I'm doing. This is why. here's some things that might happen. We might get a little bit more traffic. We might get some noise. You might get some lights, and invite them to come and see it. We did this last year because of COVID. We said to the local police, look, here's the things that we're putting in place for COVID. Come and have a look at them and give us some advice on what you think. And they came down and they said, look, what you're doing is great. We'd recommend you do this, this, and this. And we implemented it. And the police loved it. They came to our show every few days and they kept bringing more and more officers. And it was nice just to have that safety of, you knew that there would be a patrol coming around. And also, they gave some money. We got money out of the police. This is especially if you're doing any sort of pyro. If you're doing pyro and you don't trust your soldering, get it. That Ray Wu joke was put in a while ago before he sponsored. So we love you, Ray Wu. Look out for some groups that already have families, that already have their own community. So scout groups, local sports teams that already have the network of families that they can say, hey, something's going on here that we want to get involved in. And don't just send them your show, put some effort into it and say, do you want to collaborate on a song? Can we do something with your logo? Can we do something, you can even go so far as to say, hey, do you want to get all your kids to record a song? We'll sequence it and we'll put it up, because all those little kids will say to all their friends, hey, come and see my song. They'll get all their families there. They'll get everything. That's the sort of thing that you want. What you want to do with all this is you want to create evangelists for your show, because they're going to do the work for you. Local community Facebook groups are a gold mine for this sort of stuff. I live in a little district of Leeds called Crossgates, and we have 3 Facebook groups dedicated to our area, and all the admins hate each other, which means you've got to join all 3 because they don't allow cross-posting. So that is 3 opportunities where somebody is going to talk about my show, or somebody's going to post, hey, where's Christmas lights? And I can jump in, or I can see what people are saying about me. But we're going to talk about social media later on. And keep an eye out for opportunities. This one's a really, really good one, because last year the Leeds usually has a massive switch on for their Christmas lights. Big city, fireworks, pop stars, everything like that. I don't go, it's just too much. But this year they cancelled it because of COVID. And what they said was, they said, anybody that has any Christmas lights, send us a video, send us a photo. And what we're going to do is we're going to live stream the switch on, and we're going to overlay them. We're going to get a local band to do a song, and we're going to put all that like a video montage. And I thought that was lovely. And I thought, do you know what? I'm going to go one step further, because everybody else has just got lights on the house, and I'm here for self-promotion. So I called up the company that they paid to do it, and I said, what song are you using? And they said, well, why? I was like, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to sequence part of the song. So you give me 10 seconds, and I'm going to make my Christmas display sing the song. And they'd never seen that before, and they were really confused. And then when I sent them the video, they were like, could you do the whole song? And I said, yes, for money. So we kept it to 10 seconds, and it went really, really well. So it's the live stream was 45 minutes because they had a lot of crap beforehand. But the actual song was 3 minutes long, and I got a full 10 seconds uninterrupted, where everybody else just got a few. And I was watching the comments on that, and people were going, what was that house? Where was it? And people were telling people where my show was. And that was a great feeling to have done that. Passionate fan bases. This is, do you know what? I can't wait to tell you about this. So take a local sports team, take your state sports team, your NFL team, something which has a passionate fan base. They've all got songs, they've all got charts. Some of them have released them, and sequence it. So this is Leeds United. It's a football group. Do you know what? I could easily do the whole, this is what real football is compared to Americans and no pads, but I don't care. I don't like football. I have never been to watch football in that stadium, not once, right? But I've no interest in it. But do you know what that stadium has? That has a lot of fans. And so what I did was I took the song, which is Marching On Together, one of their songs that they sing all the time, and I sequenced it. And in one day, it got 45,000 views in a single day. It got shared in all the groups. It was shared worldwide. Throughout the whole season, I had over 800 comments, like 500 shares, and over 140,000 people saw that display, just saw that one song. And we had people like, it was requested maybe 10, 15 times a night for our show. People were traveling 30, 40 miles during a lockdown, so technically illegal, to come and see this one song in our display. Now, you Americans watching, 30, 40 miles is a trip to the shop, but that's like a quarter of our country over here. That's a lot. You've got to mentally prepare for that drive. Okay. And it wasn't just on Facebook. We made local news. We were interviewed for local TV. We were interviewed on local radio. And once again, I knew nothing about football. While I was sequencing this, I had to ring up friends and say, does this guy still play for Leeds? And he's like, no, he got transferred 2 years ago. I won't put him on the tree then. That's fine. I was interviewed on local radio and they were asking me questions and I didn't even know the name of the manager. So, maybe do a little bit of research before you commit to an interview, but you don't need to know this. Just look for areas where, do you know what? There's a lot of people that like this. Your charity partner is a really, really big one. If you are raising money for a charity, that is absolutely fantastic. But also get them to do a bit of work. Get in touch with them and just say, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is what's going to happen. This is how many people could possibly go, right? Because they'll get excited about it. Charities have 5K fun runs coming out their arse, right? Everybody's doing one. That's not exciting to them. They can't promote that on social media because everybody's doing one. But a synchronized light show with their logo dedicated to them, if you get it right, so ask them to share it on social media. Ask them, hey, can you send this out as an email to your people? It's just something new and exciting that they can shout about. They also usually have a relationship with a PR company. So charities also need to shout about their stuff. And what they'll normally do is have an agreement with a PR company, or they'll have one in person with relationships with journalists. So ask them, say, is there any resources that you can help me craft my story or get the word out there for what I'm doing? The worst thing they could say is no. But charities know that the more people that see your display, the more money they're going to make at the end of it. So they are, in a lot of cases, willing to put the effort in. Just have a little drink while we talk about social media. Your display is going to be posted on social media. It is. Unless it's terrible, but we won't talk about that. But we're going to do what we can to encourage it using it. So we need to think about what do we actually want to get out of it compared to the time we're going to input. So we need to tell people about the show. That is number one. We need to tell people. So we need to create profiles on the networks, and we need to tell people the location, where it is, what times it's on, and give them some photos. Give them something to go, I'll try that. And make that location and those times as big as you can and put it in as many places as you can. We put it in every update that we had on Facebook. Every update. Here's where it is. Here's our postcode. And here's the times. Because you will not believe the amount of people that will contact you asking where it is. So to tell people about our show, every day during the season, we did an update. And we kept adding songs throughout the season because people kept coming back. We had people coming every week. We had local kids coming every few days, and they wanted something new. One of my friends is a friend of Santa, and he was like, "Do you want me to do Santa one weekend?" I was like, "That'd be lovely." So Santa came, and it was absolutely brilliant. But keep during the showtime, especially every day, just do a new update, something that's different. Take a picture from a different angle of a different prop. Remind them that you're there because there is so much distraction online. It's so easy for them to see a video and go, "Oh, we should go to that," and then suddenly there's something on TV and they've completely forgotten about it. So keep in their mind. You need to build a fan base. This is what we're doing. I spoke earlier about evangelists. What we're trying to do is say to people, hey, this is good. Tell everybody about it. And you want to be that first person that knows, hey, I know a really cool thing. So we talk about posting updates throughout the season. Post updates throughout the year. And also ask for their advice. Bring them in as part of the show. So what we did in January was we said, hey, we're putting together a song list already. What songs do you want to see? And we picked a few and we said, thank you to this person, thank you to that person. So they got tagged, so they feel as part of it. And they'll be inclined at the end of the year to come and see it because they chose it. Also, don't just don't just post about lights. The other day, one of my things fell over. I still haven't picked all of it up. And, a little funny post like that, just keep them interested and say, look, we're still working on it. This is what we're doing. And finally, with social media, we want to monitor the conversation. People are talking about us. We want to be nosy. We want to see, do they think our show's great? What do they think is missing? What are they complaining about? What good pictures have they taken that I can use on my website later on? So make sure that you have a username for all of your stuff, and make sure it's actually in your show. If you have a matrix, put it on there. If you have a side of your wall that you can light up, put it there. Make sure that they know that you've got there, because it means that they can tag you in stuff. So if somebody else posts about you but doesn't tag you, someone can comment and say, hey, that's Hodgson Family Lights, which is, we'll talk about that in a minute. Create a hashtag. The reason we talk about pushing hashtags is because a lot of the search interfaces for social networks are terrible. But if you use a hashtag, you can put that into several third-party tools that are all, some of them are free and they're all easy to use, and they will monitor it for you. And it's so much easier to search for hashtag Hodgson Lights rather than Leeds Christmas Lights, because there's a lot of them. And I only care about mine because that's the sort of person I am. And once again, you've got to join local groups. You've got to see what the conversation is. You've got to see what people are talking about. And the amount of people during the Christmas will go, hey, are there any light shows that I can go and see? Are there any good Christmas lights? And you want to be in that conversation, not even just to self-promote, but if somebody says, oh, there's this one in Cross Gates, you can go, hey, it's Hodgson Lights, it's on at LS15, and it's on from this time to this time. And you're just helping that information. So I spoke a little bit about people not tagging. The other day, I put some Easter lights up on the house, and I was just up on the ladder, just drilling. And then my daughter was playing in the garden. She's like, Daddy, it's the Easter Bunny. I'm thinking, what's going on? And I turn around, and there's literally a person in an Easter Bunny costume stood in my garden. It was like a horror film. I was a bit scared. And then Alice in Wonderland walked in. I haven't been drinking. And she said, look, we saw your lights. We really liked them. Can we take a picture in front of them? I said, yeah, that's no problem whatsoever. Can you just tag us into the picture? And they said, yep, of course. And of course they didn't. But the first comment on there is somebody who's been to our show and has just tagged us, because they know what our show's called. They know our username. And that's how you will get a lot of them. You'll get a lot of people that don't know what you are, and people will tag it. You've just got to make it easy. What we're not concentrating on this presentation is about being famous, right? You've got to think about your audience for who you're targeting with these social media updates. Your audience is not people looking at this call. Your audience is not light nerds, okay? You are not going to become these two, right? Ron and Jeff do brilliant content. They are brilliant people, but you are not going to be doing that on this. This is not this presentation. What you are talking about is normal people who don't care about an F16 versus a cult. They don't care about what wire gauge they are. They care about what songs you're doing, what props they are using, how bright things are, how much electricity they use. You know, think of all the questions that you get asked every day when people come up. Oh, what do your neighbors think? Oh, is your inside like that? You know, and answer them throughout the year on social media. That's the sort of thing. And you have to put the effort into it. If you just create a Facebook page and just leave it, you won't get any likes. You won't get any activity. And the way that the social network algorithms work is you need to post, and then people need to like it and view it and interact with it for that to be shared across a greater amount of networks. So the more effort that you put in, and I know it's a pain in the ass. I know you just want to sit in your workshop, push pixels, and make it all pretty. And to a certain extent, some of you can do that. But if you are in a town with a lot of shows, you need to put a bit more effort into it. Also, if you are creating a social networking profile now, which I suggest you do, just remember that it won't get any activity really until December, right? Normal people do not care about Christmas lights in April. It's just us weirdos, let's be honest. So we're going to talk a little bit about social networks. I'm going to talk about which ones are actually worth you setting up a profile. Obviously, we've got to talk about Facebook. We can't not. So it is one of the biggest drivers of traffic to your show. Everybody will be going there, posting their pictures on Facebook. And also, it's a huge driver for questions of who, what, where, why, how, where is it, what can I do there? It's also one of the biggest pain in the asses of lazy people who just want to be spoon-fed everything. I'll give you an example. Remember this slide earlier? Location, times, and photos, right? The number one question that we got messaged to us, to our page, was, what time does the light show finish? Where is it? What can I do? And so what my number one recommendation for Facebook is to set an autoresponder. So anybody that sent a message got, thanks for contacting us. Our display is at this. Our times are for this. The lead song plays about every 4 songs throughout the night, because that was also a big question. If this answers your question, don't respond. Just leave it. However, if it does, send us another message, and then I'll actually look at it. That cut down our questions by 90% in like a day. It was great, and it's so easy to do with the Facebook tools. So that's the number one tip. So the pros of Facebook, lots of your audience will be there. The cons are it's Facebook, and people are idiots. Let's face it. Instagram. I love Instagram. It's what people use when they're on the board, when they're bored or on the toilet. You know, they are looking for things to do. They're looking for things to entertain them. And it's a really good way of cross-posting with Facebook, because you can just use the same profile on two, and they're 2 different networks. So nobody will complain about the same thing being on both. The downside is it's not local. People are searching for a specific Christmas lights, holiday lights. They're not searching for holiday lights in Leeds to go and see. They're just after some visual eye candy. So whereas you might get likes, you might get interactivity, you're not going to get local traffic from this. Twitter, I spend a lot of time on Twitter. I love it, but it's bad for discoverability. Nobody goes to Twitter to search for Christmas lights in their local area. What Twitter's great for is communication. I'm going to talk about that when we get to journalists. And finally, YouTube. YouTube for me is great for archiving your show afterwards, for you and your visitors. So after the season's done, you can say, hey, you can relive all of our shows on YouTube. Now, they will get copyrighted. Some of them will be blanked out in countries, but for the most part, every song I had, I couldn't monetize, but all the audio played in the Western countries. I can't help you if you're not in the Western country. Go and speak to YouTube. So post videos of your display, make them easy to share. Don't do an OnlyFans. Nobody wants to see a Christmas lights OnlyFans. Let's be honest. Don't go there. So then we go on to local media. Oh, I love local media. First of all, write a press release. I know it's boring. I know you don't want to do it, but it is so much easier if you sit there and write a press release and write a good, engaging one. Because at the end of the day, what you need to do is make the journalist's job easier. A lot of them will just copy and paste whole sections from your press release and paste it into there. So if you can make it easy, if you can make it an interesting press release, then they are more than likely to do it, because you can just get them an article. But more importantly, tell a story. Okay, we're going to talk about two titles. So man puts 100,000 Christmas lights on his house. That's an okay story. But to a journalist or to a newsreader, after COVID cancelled the holiday of a lifetime, this dad brought Disney Christmas lights to his family. That is an engaging headline. That is something you're like, well, how did he bring it? What did he do? You know, the 2 headlines are they're telling the same thing, but one of them's more engaging. So craft a story. And we talk about speaking to the charity's PR team, just ask them, say, hey, how can I make this a more attractive story? Think about what you're telling. Is there something unique about your show? Is there a reason that you're doing it? Is the charity that you've selected for a specific reason? Give people a hook for you to go to. So how do you find the local journalists? What I do is I'm quite lazy. So I'll just go to the local news websites. I'll go to Google and I'll search, say, Leeds Christmas lights. And I'll go to all of these websites here and I'll say, all right, let's click an article. And I'll say, oh, that one's written by Alex Evans. So I'll search Alex Evans on Twitter. And I can see there, oh, head of live news. So I have his email address there, and I'll follow him. And throughout the year, I'll just like, or I'll reply to a few of his tweets, and I'll make sure that I get in his head that, look, I'm here. I'm a Twitter account, and I'm someone that's gonna send you something. And so when it comes time to, and more than likely they'll follow you back. The Hodgson Twitter account only has about 130 followers, but I reckon 60% of them are local journalists that I've done this. I've followed them, I've interacted with them, and they follow back. So now I know that next time when I do something this year, they're going to pick it up because I'm going to appear on their feed rather than me having to outreach to them by sending them an email. And I'll send them an email. When you send the email to journalists, the subject line is so important. Some of the journalist friends that I know get over 500 emails a day. with press releases. So you've got to make sure that that story, that subject has a hook. So we're going to talk about national media. The way to do national media, I think the easiest way is to just become Tom Bet George. Just become Tom Bet George. Be Tom Bet George. It's a lot easier to get into national media with that sort of background. If you can't do that, then do everything that we've just spoke about. Do all the social media, do all the local media, and just try and become discoverable, because it will happen. If your show, if your display, if your video gets interested, gets shared a lot, national media will pick it up. And I've got evidence of that. We'll talk about that in a minute. So you've just got to keep doing that. Or, beware of press agencies. So if one of your things becomes popular, somebody's ringing me at the moment.
Hey, Dom.
Yep.
Can you double check your screen? It's frozen on a lot of people.
All right. Okay. No worries. Give me 1 minute. Where was I? What was it frozen on? Where did we get frozen?
The news articles where we last saw it at.
Oh God, that was a while ago. Oh, right. Okay. 1 minute. I see it's on press release. Okay, let's try again. I do have a backup screen just in case. So, are we back now? Okay, I'll tell you what we're going to do, if you wouldn't mind. Can you give the DOM backup access to sharing? So I have someone in the room called Backup DOM. Yeah, so if you could give Backup DOM access to sharing. There we go. Excellent. Right, so now, so now I can share screen. And then I can do this one. Yeah. Okay. We're back to there now. Can everybody see that?
Yep, that looks good.
Okay. So if I click present, is that going to do it? Can we still see that? Yeah.
Yep.
Right. So I'll go from there then. So tell a story. That's what you want to be doing. So we spoke about man puts 10,000 Christmas lights on his house versus after COVID cancelled the holiday. That's what you want to be doing. So if you want to, I'll go through this quickly. If you want to find journalists, just go to Google. Just put that in and search for your town Christmas lights and look at all the newspapers that have written about that before, because that means that journalist is interested in that. We can see there Alex Evans, and I've just put that into Google with Twitter, and I've got all these details there. And Alex actually wrote about our show because I emailed him the press release that was created. So again, national media. You spoiled my joke now. The easiest way to get national media is to be Tom Bet George. That was funnier a minute ago if you could have seen it. But we'll go through that. But again, do all this, do everything that you've done, because every tweet that you do, every Facebook update, every video you post, it's a roll of the dice of whether it goes viral. It's one of those things where everything has a chance to get the attention. All it takes is 2 or 3 people to get really excited about it, and then boom, it gets shared everywhere. So we spoke a little bit about press agencies. So if you have a story that starts to get viral or starts to get a lot of attention, you'll get people who will email you going, hey, would you like to make some money off your story? And your obvious answer to that is, yes, I do. I would very much like to make money off this. However, you need to think about what your aim is for the social media. So what they're going to do is they're going to take ownership of your photos, videos, and stories, and they're going to sell it to newspapers and magazines and agencies. But what that means is that people then have to pay to do your story, which means that less people are going to cover it. So yes, you might make some money, but realistically, it's going to be a pittance compared to what you spent on pixels. So you would rather have, at this point, the publicity. You would rather have much more people sharing your content and talking about your show than not, right? And finally, go on the Great Christmas Light Fight. if that's what you want, national exposure, get on that show. It's the biggest show worldwide. We watch it over here. Um, that's the biggest show. Go on it. But I do want to reiterate that before you do any of this, think about the publicity that you want and think about how much publicity you can handle. If your publicity gets you an extra 300 people a night, can your roads handle that? Can your show handle that? I think John spoke about this as well, is make sure that you have a plan in place for this going viral and everybody in the town or everybody in the city wanting to come and see it. Because there are so many shows that have been on the Christmas Light Fight that have got too popular and had to close down. So make sure you're aware of this. And finally, the last thing is get lucky. I'll speak about this. This is a story of me and my wife. My wife did an amazing thing where she planned a staycation holiday, and this is BBC News, and this was on the BBC homepage. It was wonderful, and it was just a little tweet. So last year, me and my wife, we're big Disney fans, you can probably see, and we planned 2 years previous, we were going to go and do the Chinese Asian parks. So we're going to go and do Shanghai Disney, Tokyo Disney, and Hong Kong Disneyland all in one trip. And we were going to go on May the 4th. I couldn't wait. And then obviously COVID happened. Everything got cancelled, this thing. So after a few months of grumbling about, Heather said, right, we're going to do something. You're going to take 2 days off work and I'm going to plan a surprise for you, because I plan all the holidays. So Heather planning something was amazing. And I thought, do you know what? I'm going to live tweet this. And I did the whole day. And she did things like she used our treadmill for baggage carousel. She turned out, the tweet, go and find it. It's amazing. Go and follow it. But it went absolutely crazy. So over 1,000 retweets. It went crazy. And people were following it all day. And then not only that, but it made the Metro. It made the Independent. It made the Evening Express. It made Yahoo homepage, MSN, ITV. It just went worldwide, this story. And all that things that I told you to do about contacting journalists and writing a press release, I didn't do any of that. This was just purely down to one tweet that went viral. And that's what I say, when everything that you do rolls the dice. Yahoo, it just went. It went. We were on the news. We were interviewed for national TV, national radio. It was our 15 minutes of fame, and we enjoyed it. And that is it. That's my presentation. I'm sorry we had to stop halfway through, but I can read the chat now. So if anybody's got any questions, feel free to chuck them over to me. Okay.
Except for the fact they think you have a Mac.
I was using a Mac and I did switch to Windows. How do you stop people coming to your show? That's from Simon Jones. Simon Jones has a good story about people not coming to his show because he had too many people coming to his show. And this was quite funny, is that I did a lot of promotion to my show and didn't get half as many people. And at one point, Simon was telling people not to come to his show and he turned it all off because of the police and all that. So just have a really good show and paint your props posh black. I think that's what we go to.
Yep.
I think somebody was asking about a website earlier. I do have a website for Hodgson Lights, and I use that to host my press release, and you can see the URL on there. But realistically, people don't care anymore. They will go to Facebook first before they go to websites. I use it because that's my job, is websites. The first thing I do is buy a domain name and then build a website around it. You don't need a fancy website. I'd say for a light show these days, social media is much more important. Is TikTok no good? Yeah, I don't know. I don't use TikTok. I've tried, I uninstalled it. But there's a lot of video stuff on TikTok. There's a lot of viral ability on TikTok. I've seen friends' videos go, get tens of thousands of views in a day. It's good. It's good for that ego boost, but it's not going to bring people to your show. Sean says, evaluate how much traffic you can handle. How often do I post on Facebook during the off season? I try and post. I'd like to post every other week, but I sometimes forget and then post 3 times in a day. The key is just to realize that, again, people aren't going to be as interested in Christmas light updates, but you need to keep them involved. So I don't tend to do I tend to do little stuff like prop builds. I'm doing a lot of Instagram live actually. If I'm doing some soldering, I'll just do some Instagram live, and people can come and chat to me in some like Q&A, and that seems to be working quite well. Roger says it's taught people to film the wrong way. That is correct. MySpace was bought again last year, so I think it's coming back. I think there's a resurgence.
Agreed.
What is going to be the viral song this year? Oh, I don't know. It was interesting last year because there was no films released, no real Trolls films or anything like that were properly big, because obviously there were no cinemas. So it's going to be interesting to see what comes out of it. Like there's a song that we had on our show called Christmas Robot, which was mapped and done by 2 people in the European group, and kids loved it. So I'm really hoping that breaks into America. I believe it's on the Google Drive. So you should definitely look at that, because you'll be singing that all day, every day. I think people will be bored of COVID by then, Roger. Oh.
All right. Anything else? Any other questions, comments? Well, Dom, thank you. We appreciate it. We want to, again, thank our sponsors. They tell us to say that, and we do appreciate it. So, Boscoyo, Wally's Lights, RGB Sequences, Build the Light Show, Wired Watts, Claudia Christmas Lights, Lightorama, and of course, the other vendors who have provided raffle prizes, which we still have some more tomorrow. And tonight, we still have one more session of classes, and then the GCLF roundtable from 8 to 9:30 Eastern time. So, and then we still have classes tomorrow. So again, thanks everybody. We appreciate it, and we will talk